Train Comics, and got another video here connected with the Energon Universe. In the previous videos we've dived into some of the first titles, the Void Rivals, the intro with the precursors to G.I. Joe, and we've looked a little bit at the Transformers books as well. We'll be continuing on as I go through each series of books myself and do reviews on them. So those will be continuing on from the first three that we did, and then the historical one, which was the most recent one that I dropped last week. But today we just want to do a follow-up to that one, and this is the Energon timeline itself. So how Kirkman has mapped it out, where we're at in that, and I'll have some diagrams on screen just to keep us all kind of aligned in the same place and headed in the same direction, and make it a little bit easier for you guys, because there's a lot of moving parts going on here. And as you saw in the previous video, you have disparate properties that have been moving around since the 1960s. You have Japanese culture and translated into American culture, and then going through a few different publishing iterations. So quick recap in that the Energon Universe is the brand new shared world starting at 0 point on Void Rivals, and leading into Transformers, then leading into 3 books establishing the different characters in the G.I. Joe universe, which was Duke, Scarlet, Cobra Commander, and Destro. Then the G.I. Joe book itself, based in the shared universe. Now, on a parallel tangent, you have Larry Hama's A Real American Hero title, which is in its own separate universe. So just once we're all agreed on those pieces. So we'll just start off with Void Rivals, as that's the entry point into the current kind of connected universe and where Kirkman and co started 3 years ago. So the Energon Universe is the modern spiritual evolution of that exact 1980s collaborative magic that started, as explained in the last video, with Hasbro's partnership with Marvel Comics based on 2 key toy lines. One of the other things that struck me with Void Rivals was how much of it was new. When I first started reading it, before I kind of dug into the research, before I figured out some of it from context clues and through, I realized Robert Kirkman created the entirety of the Void Rivals premise and then brought in some pre-existing characters, lore, and universe, but mixed them all so well together that it was difficult for a casual reader to see what was lore, what was the legacy, and what was new. The closest equivalent I could really think of would be what Ram V did with New Gods, which was very brave and bold, taking a beloved creator's legacy characters and mixing them up, similar to as Tom King did with the Mr. Miracle series. What Scott Snyder's done with Darkseid, leading into the whole Absolute universe. So there's that whole kind of energy going around the last kind of 3 years especially. So along with artist Lorenzo De Felici, Kirkman did start off his universe on the Void Rivals idea. It's an entirely original intellectual property, but purposefully designed as kind of it was purposefully designed as a blank slate to backwards engineer into the pre-existing official Transformer and G.I. Joe mythos within this new shared universe. So some of the breakdown on the lore and Kirkman's additions include Kirkman's original additions in the new lore of the Sacred Ring. Kirkman did conceive the entire setting a ring of collapsed worlds orbiting a black hole where the remnants of 2 warring factions, the Agorans and the Zertonians, fight for survival over dwindling resources. The two central protagonists, Darak and Solila, rival pilots from the two aforementioned worlds who must put aside their hatred and rivalry to survive being stranded on a desolate planet. But these are all completely Kirkman's new creations. The existing lore and where he started to bring it in, he masterminded the crossover that folds the Void Rivals narrative into the Transformers and G.I. Joe continuity, like I mentioned, with having the Transformers show up on Earth and Duke, one of the G.I. Joe characters, be affected and be directly involved, as in he witnessed and fought alongside a conflagration involving Transformers, which set him on the path to what would become his role in the new G.I. Joe, and also affected Destro as an arms manufacturer and the M.A.S.K corporation, as well as gave Cobra a new reason to exist, or a new kind of power struggle point. From a Void Rivals point of view, by expanding the scope of the universe, Kirkman actively integrated deep-cut Hasbro history, including Zertonians like Jetfire, Hot Rod, and Springer, and also bringing in some of the more kind of deep lore or further back characters like the Quintessons directly into the character storylines. There is a big reveal around issue between 20 to 25 in volume 3 to 4 of Void Rivals, and I did go through that in volume 3 in the review that I did of volumes 2 and 3 of Void Rivals. I do cover that and how much Kirkman does actually drop, which is amazing to see, because sometimes people will drag these things out in a prolonged storyline, but Kirkman obviously had a whole bunch of new lore and new plot points to drop, as he didn't just keep us hanging along forever. Instead, he actually gave us the info, so we're like, oh. So some people who may have not been sure were suddenly reinvested in their loyalty to the storyline. So ultimately, the Void Rivals book is 100% Kirkman created lore that serves as the narrative glue for a much larger legacy toy sandbox. To explore the start of this, like I mentioned, you can hop on board this new universe without having to read anything else to start off with, by starting off with the Void Rivals volumes, and I'll have links to those, also links to my reviews like I mentioned that I did on the previous ones. Of course, if you do want to dig in, if you like it, and like me, you want to dig back a bit further to enjoy the originals or just see how different they are and what separates them. We do have the big volumes, the big collected volumes for Transformers, G.I. Joe, and then some of the later IDW collections also that continued those stories. So nobody can accuse Robert Kirkman of being a slacker or being disorganized or not a master planner. The guy comes across as so casual, friendly, but I mean, still whip it sharp and still aware of everything. But when you see the depths of the planning and the scale of the organized kind of rollout of this, it's quite astounding. The fact that he's managed to bring us to this point in year 3 of this proposed plan is absolutely amazing to see unfolded, to have been a part of it over the last, for me, since kind of last October, I started paying attention to it. So about 8 months for me, but for some of you who've been here since the beginning, must have been a tremendous journey. Love to get your feedback on it or your takes on it. I know there's a lot of enthusiasm, especially for Daniel Warren Johnson, but I see that enthusiasm. I do see that kind of passion continuing on with Kirkman taking over the main book a while ago, and now with the first volume having just hit of Kirkman and Dan Mora's Transformers. But let's have a look at the chronological order in the first 3 years. It is tightly coordinated. It began with cosmic world building, moved into character-focused miniseries to set up the global chessboard, and then he's transitioned over into interlocking ongoing series. So it's just, again, breathtaking in its kind of intentionality and successful rollout. And this is where somebody like, we'll say, Jonathan Hickman has been thwarted, or Chris Claremont back in the day, two very ambitious creators, very different, but very ambitious scale creators who were unable to kind of, roll out and successfully see realized the extent of their ambitions, usually due to corporate ambition or plans or other things getting in the way. So they would get frustrated and eventually give up, hand over to somebody else, or they would just squish the storylines and plans into slightly different storylines, which is never perfect, i.e. the way they finished my beloved Krakoa and left us back in the lurch with a bunch of disconnected X books, in my opinion. If you're enjoying the X titles, great, let me know. But to get back to this, so there's 3 phases. Phase 1, the sparks ignite, year 1. Phase 2, escalation and war. And phase 3, which is where we're at the moment, and that is the expanding universe. So phase 1, as you can see from the image on the side that I've just popped over there, Void Rivals 1 to 6, the secret launch of the universe, introducing the cosmic stakes and a massive Transformers cameo. Transformers 1 to 6, that's already become such a legendary title because of Daniel Warren Johnson's energy and fast pace and popularity. This was introducing the Autobots and Decepticons reawakening on Earth. So it was like a restart all over again, acknowledging that they had a past and past adventures, etc. But it was very easy to come in new to it. You did have some catching up on names and kind of identifying different characters, but it was possible and it was fun to do so. Then you had Duke 1 to 5 miniseries exploring the origin of G.I. Joe. Then we had Cobra Commander 1 to 5 miniseries exploring the discovery of Energon and the formation of Cobra. And then we had Energon Universe 2024 special, containing 3 crucial short stories bridging the gap into year 2. So year 2, i.e. phase 2, which is escalation and war, was Void Rivals 7 to 12, Transformers 7 to 12, then the Scarlet miniseries with the amazing Kelly Thompson, following her infiltration of the Arashikaj clan, and I can't recommend that series enough. I do have a review of that one and Duke, which I have up on the channel. I will also link that one in. Destro 1 to 5, again another excellent miniseries, and really giving you a lot of depth into character and into plot. Dan Waters really storming that one. Miniseries tracing the global arms dealers' rise and access to Cybertronian tech. And we have G.I. Joe ongoing. Remember, the G.I. Joe titleless, i.e. not a real American hero. The official launch of the main ongoing new G.I. Joe title, pulling all previous miniseries together. And then we continue phase 2 with Transformers 13 to 24, taking us all the way up to the end of DWJ's run. And then Void Rivals, mirroring that one on 13 to 24 as well. And topping off phase 2, year 2, with the Energon Universe 2025 special, crucial interlude, bridging major plot lines. I should point out that they have collected the bridging material in the different volumes that are being collected. We're currently at Transformers book 5, just came out, and ditto Void Rivals is mirror tracking with Transformers, and then the other books, G.I. Joe, etc., is a few volumes behind. But they do include the information, so you don't miss it by not having the single kind of specials. That takes us up to year 3, the current year, which is Transformers from 25 onwards. Robert Kirkman, of course, taking over writing with art by Dan Mora. Void Rivals, ditto 25, the Quintessons War arc. Super exciting build-up and really smart tie-in to the history of the new universe, as well as the original kind of history of the Zertonians. G.I. Joe ongoing from number 13 upwards. And the Energon Universe 2026, that was just a couple of months back. This is leading into the last of the 3 properties that are being introduced and incorporated in, which is M.A.S.K, M.A.S.K. And the M.A.S.K ongoing is dropping, I believe, today actually, as I record this, but it'll be out by the time you watch this. So number 1 is dropping. It's got some incredible pre-sales figures, and that's spinning directly out of the events of G.I. Joe number 20. So those 2 tie-ins, when you're reading it in collected form, you're going to look at the G.I. Joe one, and then when they have the first volume of M.A.S.K out. So that is a catch-up, guys. Hopefully you feel, well, caught up. But reach out with any questions. I'm hoping to do some lives here, start doing at least one a week. But love to hear your feedback, your comments. If you enjoy this, be an active part of it. Don't just read it or watch it. Love to get a like, love to get a comment, and especially love to get more subscribers, so I'll know what you guys want. I'll be dropping some polls on these as well. But certainly from me, Colin at Ghost Train Comics, thank you so much for your time. I hope you're still enjoying the Energon Universe and the pieces that we're doing to support and explore it. But stay safe, look after yourselves, and till next time, bye-bye.